Hello and welcome to Polymath Counselling with me, Luke. I'm at the River Dee again in Chester. I'm going to be doing a video today on mindfulness and how mindfulness can work and help you. So I'd like from the beginning for you to think of gold. Think pure gold, and we'll get to that later, maybe at the end of the video, why I'm asking you to do that, okay? So how does mindfulness work? Well, I'll give you some examples today, and then you can either practice with me in my other video, which is BBB, Back to Basics with Breathing, and also you can click up here, and later you can always try mindfulness yourself whenever you want to, whatever task you're doing. Before we begin, just some cautions. As always, I have to say I haven't got a medical background, so these practices are not meant to take place of any other medical treatments, and you should always seek advice or treatment from nurses or doctors local to you, first and foremost. Understand that if some things don't help right now, don't worry. We just have to develop trust in one of these three things. Number one, ourself. That means you can do mindfulness. Anyone can do mindfulness. Just trust that you can and you will have the willpower and the discipline to improve by practice, practice, practice. Number two, trust in the approach or the technique. This might be my blueprint or my ideas, but it's just a blueprint. Change it to suit you. Make it a yellow print or a purple print with your own technique, and just put your own swerve on it, that's all. Number three, learning to trust the timing. So that means if it doesn't work on the first or the second try, don't give up. Maybe you can just try again later, like the timings. You might be calmer later and you might be less panicked. And mindfulness is about practice, practice, practice. You might think of the word calmer because that links in with timing. So be positive now and more positivity will come your way. Just like that English saying, you reap what you sow. So get sowing, and that means sowing a mindful practice and sowing self-soothing thoughts. So how does it help? Well, for me, mindfulness notices and then avoids multitasking. Mindfulness is not about a blank mind. It's actually just the opposite of multitasking. It's the antithesis of multitasking. Mindfulness helps me to try and focus on one thing at a time, especially like the basics in the BBB video, Back to Basics with Breathing. That's where I chose a breathing practice to self-soothe. So here is a quick list of things I think mindfulness can help with. Number one, self-soothing. Number two, it can prevent distractions and help have a grounding in the here and now. Number three, it notices when I'm catastrophizing. Number four, it makes things simple and easy. Number five, it helps me to prioritize or reprioritize to help things become a bit more sustainable. Number six, it reminds me of gratitude and the value of that. Number seven, it helps me to develop my self-awareness and that connection with my body. So what do I mean by number one? Self-soothe. That's really the first thing that I use mindfulness for, because it can help me to calm my breathing and slow my actions. And I notice when my breathing or my thinking is way too fast. I most often use it when I need to rest or sleep. So it can happen in the early hours of the morning when I'm trying to get to sleep and I haven't quite yet. Okay, so it can help me to rest, and then soon after I can get to sleep. I just need to curb my overthinking at times and slow things down a bit. Number two, mindfulness can help prevent my mind from wandering off or zooming to completely unrealistic or unrelated ideas or thoughts or theories or events. So mindfulness can help to lasso those thoughts and notice them and then bring them closer pull them closer to my body and actually focus on my body a lot more. I bring my mind back to the here and now, which is also known as a grounding technique. Mindfulness can help us to remain in the here and now and remind us that we are safe from harm. It can also remind us when we are emotionally hijacked, when our body is in fight, flight or freeze status. So it can help to reduce this high alert state and make it less frequent, so we can at least learn to recover quicker and to self-soothe. Point 3. Mindfulness can also help you to notice when we've got these unrealistic events or impossible outcomes or even catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is when my mind tries to prepare me for a possible shock in the future by thinking of something which would be a disaster or a catastrophe. If I've noticed if I'm feeling creative or very tired, my mind might experiment and might imagine a very improbable event now, and I might try and think about how awful that event might be in order to prepare in case it might actually happen or I might get shocked. And that can be quite painful or really worrisome or very draining, because I'll be actually living in that catastrophe temporarily in my mind. So it can be very draining, and I might be at risk of negatively spiraling down, or maybe even losing some sleep or even some concentration. Point 4. When I say simpler, I mean it's like the philosophy of Occam's razor, which cuts off any complexity, and the simplest answer is the right one. Because when I have random or creative or catastrophizing thoughts, that means I need to focus on one of my senses and keep it simple. So I ask in my mind, is that thought actually helping me right now? Or am I actually preparing myself for something which will never happen? So that can help me to notice the difference between rational or irrational thoughts and patterns, and it helps me to focus on one thing and cuts off all the complexity to it, making it simpler and easier, because that'll most likely be the right one. Point 5, that follows on obviously from the last one, because mindfulness can remind us to keep it simple, and that means that the simplest answer, I would suggest, should be the kindest answer for us. It also means, therefore, that we need to develop our self-care, because that must be the highest priority, especially if we're really worn down, and especially if our mind might be catastrophizing and we might be really drained, or psychologically struggling with something. So our minds might have jumped to the worst possible scenario or conclusion or catastrophe. So that's really going to be draining for us mentally, physically and emotionally. So we need to reprioritize our mental health and put ourselves first. So we need to notice when we are worrying, because your health is paramount. It's at the peak. So we need to be the kindest we can possibly be. Point 6 is about gratitude, and this is actually one of those sneaky or hidden benefits. The first hidden virtue of worry shows us how much we care. If we didn't care about something, we wouldn't be worried about it. We can notice how precious something is when we're just going to lose it. So we go into shock. This can indicate that we care about some things, like a relationship or a connection or a sense, like sense of smell, or like some people can become anosmic, or they might lose their ability of hearing, or something like that, or even a role in work or a job or some freedoms. Sometimes we can be fearful of a loss of freedom in something, but actually that shows that we care about it. And that can actually lead to the second hidden virtue, which is gratitude. And that's where we need to go back to basics and reveal what we already have. What I mean by that is some happiness can be taken or derived from noticing what we already have. and being grateful for it. I say grateful for it because it can be like a simple boat, a small boat, and we only need one anchor to keep us steady, just like a very small boat. And that's just about keeping it simple. And just like the idea of mantras, mantras work because they're repetitive and they're very simple. Number 7 is self-awareness. And for me, I don't think we should save mindfulness to be like a first aid kit, like it might be kept in the cupboard or under lock or key or anything like that, because I would prefer it to be used any day or any time, because it is very simple and it can be very effective, because it encourages self-knowledge. Just like that really lovely phrase, nice and simple, it's called compassion is wisdom. So mindfulness will be more effective if we just know ourselves more. Just like that saying, know thy enemy. I know that I can be my own harshest critic, so I better know what happens when I'm worried or scared or panicked, angry or jealous or ashamed or envious. All of those feelings and emotions can be called taboo feelings, and they can make me withdraw from others a little bit sometimes, because they can be very heavy or very difficult to deal with. So what I'm talking about is being kinder to my future self, being more aware and being kinder to future Luke, because when I do that, then I'm more likely to know how I react, and I'm going to know how I'm going to deal with some taboo or some difficult emotions that might pop up. So let's just recap. Number 1 is self-soothing. Number 2, it can prevent distractions and help grounding in the here and now. Number 3, it notices catastrophizing, which can be draining. Number 4, it makes things simple and easier, just like the idea and philosophy of Occam's razor. Number 5, it helps me to prioritize and reprioritize to help sustainability. Number 6, it reminds me of the virtue of worry and of gratitude. Number 7, it helps me to develop my self-awareness and get that good connection with my body. So sometimes I can catch it earlier, so it stops it from happening, or sometimes I can recover quicker. Finally, I didn't forget it from before, because I was talking about gold, pure gold, because I would like you to find your own way to be mindful and to practice, and start using your own thoughts and being flexible and changeable like gold, because that is very valuable and it's very malleable. By malleable, I mean that we can easily change the shape of it, and it will always keep its value and its weight. Because a good metaphor to use for this is to say that 1 centimetre cubed of pure gold, I once learned that if you hit that with a hammer so often, you could flatten it out so thinly that even just 1 centimetre cube of gold could be battered out really flat and cover a whole tennis court or a whole badminton court. So I think that's surprisingly changeable. Gold plating can cover more aspects than we might have thought before. Yeah, and just like mindfulness, these ideas can cover us throughout the whole of the day. Okay, in the times that we do and activities that we do in the day, and obviously in life as well. Don't forget to have a look at my other videos up here, or you're welcome to subscribe and like and comment and share. Take care, and I hope you have found some value in today's video.